Welcome. Now, on yesterday's video, I had intended on fixing both my Tamiya TT-01 and my HPI RS4 Rally. Now, if you saw that video, you would know that my Tamiya took much more time than I initially thought, because I switched the speed controller over to one I wanted anyway, so it wasn't really a waste of time. And then I went to skim the motor because the problem still hadn't gone away, and the motor armature was destroyed. And the commutator on the armature, which is the full inside of the motor, and the commutator is a little copper thing at the top, was destroyed. It was right through to the bottom layer, so I had to change the motor over. And then the motor I put in it, this Team Orion Core Touring 14 turn double, wasn't getting any signal. I wasn't getting any current through it at all. The speed controller that I have in it beeps, gives you an audible beep when there's a motor attached, and I couldn't for the life of me get it to beep, and the motor wouldn't spin. It wasn't the brushes, and it wasn't the soldering, and it wasn't the wires. Turns out the copper cabling inside, as it wrapped around, had a little bit of corrosion, which was enough to stop the current going through it. So I just put a little blob of solder where the copper wire is secured in 3 locations, and that's it. Working now. So, back to the Rally. As I said yesterday, the Rally was out and about, and you can see it's quite muddy. And now the motor is locked up. It was pouring smoke, and it's completely seized up. So I need to take the motor out, and I'll have to give it a rebuild, but it might need new reskin and rebrushed as well. I hope I don't have to bin another motor in 2 days. Right, we might as well get started and crack on with it. Okay, so like the Tamiya, the HPI, because it's quite an old model, is using cross heads rather than hexes again. So, yet again, well, for some reason I've got one flathead screw there, the rest are cross head. So we're using a Phillips screwdriver, and I need to take the pinion off first of all. Now I think it might be a smaller size than the one on Tamiya, the grub screw on the pinion I mean, but I always check the red one first, because it's always the red one. Come on. It's always the red one. That's my phone going off, that noise. Right. Now, it's the 2 screws for the motor. This one is completely stripped, so I'll need to find a replacement. Come on. There we go. Not the actual thread, but the head on it is stripped out. Don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty nasty. Try not to lose the washer as well, which I've already lost by the looks of it. I'll turn up. And I need my flathead. I don't like using flathead screwdrivers on RC cars. I don't actually like using screwdrivers on RC cars. Much prefer Allen keys. Hex drivers, as some people call them. Right, so chassis is still very much free running, so it's not a chassis problem. Well, obviously it couldn't be a chassis problem. How would the chassis be pouring with smoke? Right, I tested the guts of this motor. Trinity P2K2 Pro, high revving, powerful, 27 turn stock motor. Now what you need to do, the motor brushes tend to hold the whole thing in place even once you take the screws out. So you ping those little springs off, pull the brushes out a little bit, see them on the other side. Like that. Now if these screws are lifted, oh, see, I think this is now seized on because of the, nope, it's okay. Right, let's have a look. Nothing stuck in there. Let's have a look at this. Oh, it stinks. and I can see that the armature is already completely blackened and it's seized. There you go, come on. Wow, look at that. It's all black, it should be copper coloured. And look, some of the copper wire has come away. I'll cup of tea out of the way, let's have a look at the damage. Yeah, snapped right there. See that? It's coming loose. This is the winds of the copper that make up the motor. When they talk about 27 turn, it's 27 winds of copper around the armature. Epic 27. Stinks. It's not epic anymore. It's a bit woeful now. So that's yeah, that's gushed. That's absolutely gone. That's 2 motors in 2 days. This is beyond saving. I mean, the armature still has plenty of life. Well, not that much actually. It's not. I mean, you can see the burn there, which is normal. It's because the brushes touch it as this is spinning, and that's how it makes contact. Both sides. You get burn, and then you can just wear it away with the lathe, cut that down, and get the nice clean stuff underneath. But there isn't that much left. It was much better than it was yesterday. Like the Revenge of the Monster Pro yesterday had right down to the bottom. This isn't so bad, but yeah, this armature's ruined. Bin time for that. And I need to find another motor for this one. When will it end? Now the speed controller that's in this Rally is a lossy unit. I think it's the one that came with the XXX SCT, but it might be the one that came with the high roller. Either way, it doesn't really matter because they came with the same motors, the 2 trucks. So I've got my battery box lying out already. Look what the options are. Now you see these ones here, these are the motors that came with, that's the one that came with the high roller. And that one's the one that came with the SCT, and I don't know why, but it's got big, this one here, it's got big sort of capacitors in there, which I've not had access to. They're the same motor though. So that speed controller can handle both of those. But they're a bit hot for a, you know, rear wheel drive little rally car, because I think they're around about 13 turn, 12 turn, something like that. What else have we got here? We've got the launcher, 19 turn launcher. That would be a reasonable choice, Ansman launcher, but you need to work out which way it's required to spin for this car, because I know for a fact that this particular launcher, because I tried it in Scott's touring car, spins an awful lot faster in one direction than the other, and if this doesn't lend itself well to that chassis, you'll find that it's a lot quicker in reverse than forward, and that's no good. But that's probably a winner, I would think. Let me just calculate. I'll just quickly calculate which way it has to spin. And then yeah, I'll be able to see if that is going to be a relevant motor for that car. Unfortunately, I've just worked out that this motor won't work. This car here requires, if you imagine the motor bolts through there, right? And obviously that has a pinion on it, spins, and it spins this. This spins clockwise to make the wheels go forward, okay? Anti-clockwise from backwards. Which means this needs to spin anti-clockwise to spin this clockwise. You with me? Motor spins anti-clockwise, this spins clockwise, car goes forward, right? So I need a car, or I need a motor rather, which spins very quick anti-clockwise. Now I happen to know for a fact that this motor is very quick clockwise, but not anti-clockwise, because Scott's car requires it to be anti-clockwise, and we tested it, and it was very slow. So, and before anybody says, we've tried, you know, reversing the polarity on the cables in the motor, we've tried, you know, different settings on the transmitter, reversing the channels and everything. It is the fact that this just simply spins quicker one direction than the other. So this motor is no longer a choice, so we'll have to go back to the battery box and try again. Right, I think I'm going to go for one of these lossy ones, because the other options, I've run out of motors really, because I've been building so many cars and I've not bought motors for years. I've just sort of been collecting these and now I'm running out, because our options are, look at this, Mark Reinhard edition, oops, that way around, Mark Reinhard edition, Orion Worlds edition. It's a 12 turn single. That's going to be far too powerful for that car. This is an ancient LRP motor. I think this is like it says 6, I think it's a 6 turn, far too powerful and too old anyway. This is even older, it's a Kyosho. These people collect these now. Some Kyosho modified. Old, too old, and again too powerful. And this is ridiculous. This is a Peak Racing Vantage motor. That is, I believe it's a 6 turn triple. It's been scarred a bit because it used to be in a touring car of mine. It was making my touring car backflip, a 4-wheel drive touring car. That's completely out of the question. So, guess I'll use this one. Right then, motor's all soldered up. Now I don't know off the top of my head, unlike this car, I don't know off the top of the head how to reprogram the speed controller, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to test it. Transmitter's already on. It's an ancient ACOMS Techniplus, these were great back in the day. Working fine. And much quicker in forward. Perfect. Now, just need to screw the motor back in the car. Have another look at that worn out screw. Yeah, I'd rather not put that back in the car, so I'll need to find another one. Bear with me. Right then, now we're at the part where we have to try and put the motor in the car. Here's a little tip. Take your screwdriver, rub it against the can of the motor, and that magnetizes the screwdriver. So your screws stay on it. I managed to find some better screws for this motor this time round. So let's try and get this lined up. It's fighting me, it's fighting me. Here we go. I'm not going to screw it in particularly tight, because we need to get it all nicely lined up with the pinion. So I'm just going to, enough to just hold the motor so I can maneuver it a little bit, get it correct. Right, motor's now in the car. Let's get this correct. Now, a lot of people use paper. I've never used the paper technique to get the right mesh between the big spur gear and the pinion. Basically, you want it tightened up against the spur, but there has to be a tiny gap, just so that there's a little bit of wiggle room between them, a little bit of air between them. And that's why people use a bit of paper, because they can draw paper through it. But I've never used that technique. I just sort of go by feel and eyesight. Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. Well, I think my eyes look quite fine at the moment. Okay, so let's have a look. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know if you can see, but there's a tiny, yeah, you can, tiny amount of movement of the spur without moving the pinion. But it's still got perfectly good mesh. That's what you want. Just make doubly sure these are tightened up before trying it. You get much more torque behind it to tighten up better if you're using a Allen key, a hex drive. One of the reasons I don't like I don't like Phillips screws, but anyway, let's test it. Do I have another working car? Yes, I do. Awesome. And look at the speed of it. It's actually really quick for this old rally car. Look at the ballooning of the tyres. So, sorted! The General Lee is back in action. Right, I'm quite pleased. 2 working cars, cold cup of tea. Never mind, I'll get another one. Aye, no problem. I'm a bit annoyed about having to bin 2 classic brushed motors, the Revenge of the Monster Pro yesterday and the P2K2 Pro today. This is my last P2K2 Pro and it's completely burnt out. Horrible. Anyway, you got no choice. Got no choice. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know this was a slightly sort of, not duller, I'd hate to say dull, I hope you haven't found it dull. A bit drier, if you like, a couple of videos than, you know, harking around outside, chucking over jumps and stuff, but the weather does not lend itself to this at the moment. No, it doesn't. So, as soon as we can, I promise, absolutely promise, and we'll get both of these cars out for people to see. Alright guys, thank you for watching, take it easy, we'll see you again soon. Cheers.